2019, 9 o'clock. We're going to call the Floyd County Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. First item on our agenda is to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve our agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2 is public comment. If you're here for an agenda item, you'll get a chance to talk in. Otherwise, we welcome the public to talk at any time. Hearing none. Move on to item 3, which is review action regarding the approval of the August 12th, 13th, and 20th, 2019 meeting minutes.
And I had a chance to review those and found everything in order. I would make a motion to approve the August 12th, 13th, and 20th meeting minutes.
And I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of August 12th, 13th, and 20th, 2019 meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 4, review action regarding approval of claims.
And I looked over the claims, I had no issues with them, so I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
And I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 5, which is review action regarding a liquor license application for Fingers and Toes. And that's in our packet.
Everything was correct.
Everything
There was
is-
no issues.
Yeah, no, everything
In order.
looks good with that one.
All right, so I'm gonna put this, my goodness, off and on. So I'll go ahead and approve the liquor license application for Fingers and Toes.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Been moved and seconded to approve the application for a liquor license for Fingers and Toes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 6 is review action regarding property tax suspension for Iowa Code 427.9. We have, this is all in your packet, we have 3 requests, I guess you call it, and a copy of the Iowa Code in there on how we do this. This suspends the taxes, not give the taxes. And becomes a lien on the property that's terminated, or
It doesn't
It's all
come out
because-
and it all comes through the cleaning services.
It, no, the subjects are, the taxes are subject to pay whenever the person becomes ineligible. So if for whatever reason they're not eligible for DHS services anymore, the taxes become payable. In some occasions, it's the person has, say, moved to a nursing home or something and they sell the home, so it's more like a sale of a home oftentimes, but it could just be that they just don't become eligible for, say, they won the lottery or something, they would no longer be eligible for taxes would be due, so depends on the circumstance.
So it's a suspension.
Yeah.
Right, and as by code, this is a suspension, not a forgiving of the taxes. It
Correct.
just suspends them to a
Suspends them.
future date when they will be due at some point,
It
right?
suspends them because of their income
Right.
requirements.
Yeah, I reviewed the paperwork on it, and see, it all looked like it was in order. So I'm gonna make a motion to suspend the taxes for Anthony Hall, Mary Catherine McGann, and Raymond Van Becker.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 3 tax suspensions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Well, we have copy of mine. Item 9. meeting, so we have to wait until 9:15 before we can start that hearing. We'll move to item 9, which is review action regarding drainage district number 1, hiring an engineering firm to study the district, reclassify the district, and drain repairs in the district. We had the other night, with the landowners of it. That was the engineer, so I guess now we're at the point where we're gonna do something.
Well, I thought we had good discussion, really, on that night. There was quite a few that, had some really good questions, and the idea was that I don't think there was anybody that really was against the reclassification, so I guess that was my take on it.
And it's the classical, typical case of a 100-year-old drainage main.
Right.
I didn't get any correspondence after the meeting from anybody.
I
I did talk to
did not. I did not.
No, I didn't either. No, and I agree. The situation, I think this was put in like 1916 or something like that. It was early 1900s. Yeah, a long time. Nobody wants to see the dollar costs that are going to be associated with this, but nobody had a better solution. And if we don't do something, all we're going to do is just kick it down the road that proverbial can, and somebody else is going to have to deal with it in the future, because it does need to be dealt with.
So I guess our motion would probably want to say. Like, first we have to determine the engineering company, then what we're going to direct them to do, whether we classify study.
And the engineering firm we've used in the past is,
Bolton Lee.
That's what I was just asking.
Bolton Lee.
Or categories.
And Brody and Bolton.
yeah,
Well,
He's
I,
the representative of that firm.
I would go ahead and make a motion then that we proceed with hiring Bolton May to go ahead and perform the study. And performing reclassification on drainage district 1. Oh, yes, and at the time then that we did hold off on doing any repairs until this activity was taking place.
and I'll second that.
Okay, the moved and seconded to approve the hiring of Bolton May to do a study and a reclassification of the drainage district 1. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carried. There's a, we got to mention the third part of that motion, which is not to do any repairs.
That's what I mentioned.
She mentioned
I
it.
added that, that we just,
Motion carries. Well, we're gonna twiddle our thumbs here for a little bit till 9:15.
So what we could have, we could do number 13 or 10. Yeah, well, that's just, I can see if that's the way I'm going. 13, 14, 15, 16. Or they could do 14, 14, 15, 16. Bernie's not planning on coming down, so probably 10 or so. You can do number 14 under update on.
So do an update. Item 14, update on the long work slash courthouse project.
Yeah, so the update on the courthouse, yesterday was really probably our largest update. We did have a time for the bids to be reviewed by any contractors that were interested in bidding on on any of our bids that we've got out right now. And this place was packed. We had it down here in the assembly room, and we were careful for Housecat. It was one of the largest turnouts that they've ever seen. So I think we counted, it was over 25 people
think it was about 30 people.
30 people. So,
Bidders.
and covering all aspects of the project. I mean, we had anything from sprinkler systems to HVAC, to the foundation, the excavating part of it, to the security cameras, you know, yeah, electrical. Yep, 3 generals were here looking at that. And they have varied questions, but most of all, of course, is tied to the shortened time period. You know, they all kind of said you might give us a long time. And there was one that did ask if we would be able to, or think about maybe delaying the responses to bids coming in. And Sid was here, and he said, you know, based on, you know, the delays that we've had thus far, he really was not looking at delaying this project any further. But if there's any companies that do want to talk about that, because there was some statement about, well, this is a holiday weekend, you know, they're doing next week. And he said, just keep me informed. He said, if I get enough people, you know, what I'm concerned about. But he said, at this point, we're not looking at delaying.
Was there any, from the potential contractors, was there any discussion about if we move out or don't move out, how that affects them? Do they have
It
any
was
thoughts?
just mentioned by Sid that that is an alternate, you know, that we will be looking at. So that was basically.
Several times he mentioned
Yeah.
that that's an alternate to make sure you know that, so that.
I don't remember anybody really asking about that necessarily as much as just the time period, the shortened time period to get their bid responses in. And that also, the work being done, you know, to try and get as much done before winter sets in.
You as a committee meet again tomorrow, is that right?
We do, we have a status meeting.
So there aren't any addendums to the bid package at this point that we know of?
There's one.
There is
Not
one.
on Friday.
There's one, and they're working on a second one.
Which will be responding to some of the questions, you know, that they
Sure.
had yesterday. So, I'll send it out. Work on utilities. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, UPN finished their project about 5 o'clock last night, so 5:30. So WIN and UPN are completed. Still waiting to hear on CenturyLink. Mid-America was around one day last week, I understand, but haven't started any work with electric. And Mid-America Gas is, I got an email from the gal there, she's still working on the plans on relocating the gas to the south side of the building.
Well, other than that, that's pretty much it. Moving forward.
Good. We have 2 minutes yet, so you gotta come up with something.
You have 15,
You can do 15?
15 and 16.
Okay, we'll move on to item 15, which is note the fees collected from various departments, and you have a list in your packet for a couple different departments.
Just quarterly
It's
fees
mostly
for the
just-
auditor, sheriff, and recorder.
Mhm.
So
Noted.
so
Now we're down to 1 minute.
And then the next one is personnel changes. That is just conservation department. Their summer staff are, their
Going to
positions have
college?
ended, they're going to college.
Summer's over.
Yeah, summer is
Two
over.
interns going back to school. Actually, a lot of schools have started. So noted. Go. 9:14.
You would cellular official time, right?
We're both matching today. Well, that one's it. So, I have 9:15. We'll get back to item 7. At 9:15, I will declare the public hearing open. The public hearing regarding Lancer LLC construction permit application for a confinement feeding operation in section 26, Ultra Township, 2 new 2,500 head deep swine finisher confinement buildings as a new swine confinement facility with a 2,000 animal unit capacity 5,000 head of swine finishers. Now, I'll get, everybody here who will get a chance to talk, there will be no personal attacks. So I would start this, we have one letter from, in our packet,
Do you want to read this right here?
is that,
That's the.
okay. Is this person here,
Who didn't?
Jim and Barb Oden? Okay, then I'll read this letter. This is the second time we have received a letter about a proposed hog confinement in a couple of months. Once again, how many confinements are going to go up in our area? We're going to be totally surrounded now. We've lived here for over 40 years, and now we can't sit outside on a nice night or even go outside, go for a walk down our road because you can't hold your breath for that long. Every time a semi goes down the road to either load out or bring in hogs, they mess up the road. We're not sure why you even bother to send out these letters of proposed confinement because everyone knows it's going to happen. People's opinion don't matter at all. This latest letter for a meeting on August 27th is a big joke because we can look out our front door and see that they are already moving forward with the hog confinement buildings. They must already know the outcome of the meeting. How can they already be moving forward with this? Jim and Barb Oden, 1685 Kirkwood Avenue, Floyd. So at this time, I would open it.
I also have another, I had one other person that came in.
Okay,
It was Brian Schmidtke, and I think there was
is
a.
Brian here?
It is here.
Is he here? Yeah, okay. Maybe you wanted to talk?
Yes.
The conversation started out, I think, similarly to what that letter refers to, is what they're building currently is on 170th Street, not on
Right.
Lancer. And so,
Right,
I mean,
that's a finishing or a nursery building.
right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So I
so
think this person is confused.
I'll
at
open
what-
the hearing to anybody that wants to talk. I'd ask that you introduce yourself so that we can hear your name. So, open to,
Can I give one more thing, Judge?
I was gonna say, I have a question.
I did have a phone call, yes, from Cleo Hebert. Called and talked to me about it, had concerns, nothing specific, but she just wanted to, she was asking questions about it and voiced her concerns.
And I have also had Viola Wolf contacted me last night, and we had quite a discussion on it. She feels, again, very much I think like others in that area, that the value of her home is going to go down because of, this being developed more and more in that area.
and I'll add, I did attend the meeting with the DNR last Thursday.
Friday.
Friday. Out there, so many people I recognize were there, so. Jeff Sherman was there, he's attending another meeting in Mason City this morning, so he can be here. But I did talk to him last night, he said he hadn't heard anything from anybody else concerning it, so.
And then some of the other calls that I've had, well, I'll start off by saying that a couple of the other calls that I've had are people that are really support the pork industry. They have now properties that they are, have their own hog operations, pigs that they're raising, want to continue to have that family operation go down, through into their family so that their children can go ahead and continue with their, farming operation and livestock operation. They're proud of it. I think their only concern at this time is when there are ones that are coming in and purchasing property within our county that don't live here in our county. And that to me is I think some of the big concerns of us that are considered family farms. And so I just want to bring that to the attention of everybody, that it is a big concern that a lot of people have. If they're not willing to live here, but yet they're purchasing the property and then putting up the auto sales, then what does that do? What kind of stance does anybody have to take as far as a local farmer or a family that is living in that area? And living there, but then yet the other people are not, you know, that are the owners and operators of it. So I do want to bring that to everybody's attention. I feel that from a lot of people.
And I did get a call, exactly that. He was a local, real local to that area out there, and he was worried that his son coming back, he wanted to go hunt setup of his own, and he was worried that the supervisor would put it in. I don't think that's gonna happen, but he, again, was the true example of the family, not just corporate. So with that, I'll open it to anybody that wants to talk. As I said, just please introduce yourself when you do. Okay,
Have you done a...
you are Roger Side.
Roger Simon.
Okay.
Have you done a density study as far as like the numbers within the county?
We have numerous maps, and we've had them, you can get them,
Is the answer no?
The specific answer is we have not done a study.
We have not done a study, but we have identified, let's just say, where they're located.
Let me ask you, did you do any comparative study with other counties, how they allow these facilities to be placed or put in the county? Is there some standard, or is there something that you've studied by contacting other counties that raise hogs where they say, okay, we did a study and we found that the environment is affected if you have 25 or if you have 50 or whatever it is? Have you done that study?
No, we have not.
are you aware of that study being done somewhere else?
I have read in the newspaper, different counties reporting how many facilities they had and trying to determine whether or not they should do more. My second concern is that this, again, my concern is this is an out-of-county. Why don't they do this in Cresco? Howard County, is that Howard?
Chickasaw County.
Okay, well, Cresco is Howard, right?
Right.
Howard.
And why they aren't there, it would be a concern. And I guess my final concern is that if you take a ride on Sunday in your car, like I think a lot of us do, and you drive through the country about every other square mile, you have to go through the stink where you roll your windows up, and it's just not, it's not a good feeling about Floyd County. There's enough, and I strongly oppose it, just because I think that you just keep expanding this, and there's a reason they're coming to Floyd County. I guess they think they can get away with it. And I don't think anybody wants it in Floyd County. Those are my issues, and those are my questions that I would have and would want to know before you go forward making a decision. Because I have talked to many people, and I would say that it runs about 70 to 30 against having this. That's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah. The one thing that, like I said, there are maps that are out there on some of our state websites that do have the concentration of where all of these are located, even within the state. We do have a map that we recently put together that is in the back of our boardroom up on the second floor, where we've tried to identify all of those that are within our county. So I do want to make sure that you know that, because
I'll go and look at that.
yeah, and that's not even just for pork, that's also cattle and chickens.
Okay.
Yeah, so we included them all, because it's all livestock operations.
And as far as coming to Floyd County to get by with something, they're operating under the state rule, which is the master matrix. Well, it's no different here than it is in Chickasaw County, but, and it's all about the distances, the setback.
That was just one of the questions that was raised to me, and I said, well, then I'll ask.
Absolutely. But the one thing I would say, I've talked to other counties, we're not unique. I mean, we care about Floyd County, obviously, but we're not unique to the situation, because there are certainly other counties that have a large concentration of the hog facilities.
What does a facility like that bring to Floyd County as far as income or money? What benefit do we receive?
We have that information too, that was given to us, I think, last year during one of our, it was actually the guy from Pinnacle, I had asked him to go ahead and bring those studies and everything, so there is quite an income that is provided for people that are actually employed, you know, to manage and operate those facilities. And then if you look at just the people, the surrounding businesses that are getting business, whether it's, you know, from hauling gravel to the actual building of the sites, you know, if you look at it from that perspective, the feed mills that are bringing out feed to these sites all the time. So there is income that is being created.
Is there any benefit to the county, substantial benefit to the county?
Well, Frank Redding also provided that in the 7,700, he gave us that tax
For taxes.
statement
Yeah.
from one.
We just don't have it right in front of us, but we have that information that we've looked at.
Available to the public so we can look at it? Sure. Okay.
But they are taxed, Roger, as a farm site, not industrial. So that is one thing to keep in mind, as
As
a,
ag.
right. So that is one thing to keep in mind, and that's been something that's been talked about as I go around the state of Iowa and have meetings, and other supervisors go there and have side discussions, that these are taxed as ag, and that does create some problems, because they're a big industry. And this spring, we had a lot of problems with the gravel roads because of that industry. And yet, it is ag, and, you know, with ag, we think of the fields going in and planting the corn in the spring and doing a little bit of other things, and going in and harvesting in the fall. Well, these things are continuously using our roadways, so.
Okay, and those are the things I brought up, are the things I've heard most about, and I guess I just, even if there are some jobs created, I don't know that those people are employed and living in Floyd County. So
Yes, a lot that I know of are.
My name's Dennis Somber. These feed mill, or this hog site will not be supplied by,
And I can't speak to that one, but I
it
just
will
know
not be
ones that-
supplied by a
And-
co-op
Excuse
in
me, your name?
Dennis Somber, they said.
Okay.
It will not be. They have their own feed mill. That will not bring any jobs or any money to Floyd County. They have their own feed mill. It's over in Chickasaw County. And the reason they're bringing them to Floyd County is not because they're trying to get by with the rules, just because they're oversaturated in their area. Okay? In their own county. They're not bringing jobs here. And what's the amount of hogs that can be on one parcel? Because, is that a split parcel on 170th? Because that's sold as one tract, wasn't it? It's sold as one tract, so ain't that counted as one tract, so you're actually over the population
With 3 buildings.
with 3 buildings, because you're already putting up one right now. So that was sold as one tract, so that's one piece of ground, so on one piece of property, what's the limit of hogs that can be on there? See, that needs to be looked into, you know? And
I can
it's
say
a
that
bad,
they're-
wet area. I mean, the county's closed the road how many times in the last couple of years? Water sits in both those fields. And even on the north side of the track is taken for where the part of the manure is supposed to go, okay? That field is completely underwater every spring and through the summer. And where's it go? Wildwood Creek. You know, I live right down the street.
Which
Bayou
dumps into the
Bend.
sea dirt.
Dumps right down here.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Your name?
Gina Wolf. I feel the same way. I live within a mile of it. It'll be northwest of my house, so during the winter, it'll probably stink. You know, I mean, it'll probably stink all year round, not just in the winter, but I'm worried about the smell. Yeah, and the property values, all my neighbors, my father-in-law included, who is Leland Wolf, who could not be here, does not. He opposes this, does not want it. Viola, she is my husband's aunt. She lives within a mile. We all do. We don't want it.
I can say, Doug, that a land division review form has gone through to divide the parcels up. Brian, I showed that to you the other day when you were in. To my knowledge, nothing's been conveyed yet, and maybe Becky or the owner can.
I'm gonna pick on Becky. Becky Sexton is the representative for Pinnacle Ag.
No,
Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes, I heard Pinnacle for it. Twin Lakes, she's one that would have filled out the application for this. So, is there such a thing as too many per?
I only did the manure management plan for this site. I don't know anything about any other sites in this area. So I've only done the one for the Lancer site. So I don't know anything about any other sites in this area.
That's the first time I've heard.
Yeah, so that's the first I've heard about any other sites in this area.
Do you take into
Well,
account
whatever.
the other one that's going in?
I don't know anything about that one.
So
Just on the
when you
other side
did
of
your
the tracks.
review, you looked at it that that building wasn't there.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about it.
That's fine.
But it was still the same track of ground when it was sold. It was sold as one track. okay?
Sold to Reich's Family Farms.
How many
Correct.
feet from the other one?
Right.
I mean, just
But it's still,
across
it's on the
tracks.
same property, that's what
So
I'm
is
saying.
somebody from Rice?
I-
You are? Okay.
I work for Rice, but I'm gonna be the owner of the site.
But you're not the owner.
you
They're
are.
not the owner.
I'm the one disrupting the barn.
Your Lancer
Asking for
LLC.
Mark Holder.
What-
I'm the manager of Lane.
So if I may ask, you're the manager, you work for Bryce,
That's,
and you will
I own
own,
barns on my.
you'll own this, okay? So why didn't Bryce just put this building up themselves?
Because he gave me an opportunity because I work for him. I own 4 other barns. And it gives all 3 of my kids work for Dale Rice. So it's a way I can keep my kids involved in the operation.
So Reich's Farms could have put this up
Could have, but he gave me the opportunity.
legally?
Even though you don't own the property.
A corporation can't own a hog site.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can that corporation, that's what I was informed, is they couldn't.
They're an LLC, so they own.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Everybody will get a chance to talk. Let's have one conversation in the room at a time. If you have something to say, everybody will get their chance to talk. So, are you a resident of Floyd County?
Howard County.
So, anybody else?
Yeah, Brian Schmidt, yeah, I have a business, I've been there since 1995, I live north of there. Watched the water go over that place many, many times. There's no way, you guys are putting a driveway in there, it will not stay, and you will not even get to those hog sites. I mean, we've got photos, we brought photos with us, 2018, even last year, it was running over the road, and the county shut the road off, so they should have adequate records of that too. 2016, it went over. 2008, it took the tracks out, undermined the tracks.
Yeah, 1999, it undermined the tracks, left a big gaping hole, so the train couldn't even run for I don't know how
That was
long.
08, actually.
so how?
Well, then it did it in 99 too, because that's when it.
Yeah.
So it's done it more than once since 1999. It'll do it again.
I mean, the water runs right there, it's super low.
Plus, excuse me, Bruce Eichen, plus the land that they're gonna spread it on is constantly on the water.
What is the manure management plan?
Who's good?
What'd you say?
What is the manure management plan?
Do you
Well,
want me
they
to?
filed, yeah. They filed that with this.
It's in the book.
So we have application acres, right there at the site, and then next to the site, and, I mean, if you wanna look at this, these are the acres that we have available from your application.
Who owns those properties?
Do you know who owns these properties?
Jim Erb sitting right here owns one. He rents it.
Ron and Kurt Mark own the other one.
Yeah.
They're willing to let these people spread the manure, even with their needs.
They're gonna buy it. yeah.
They haven't been involved with me.
No, they rent the ground from here.
She's looking
Mike
right
and
now.
John Rosiska rent it.
Who?
Yes,
There's a Mark.
Kurt owns it.
Is he here today?
She said there's Mark owns some of
But
the
around
Mark?
houses, aren't they? Spread it.
Mark.
Mike-
Kurt Mark.
Ron and Kurt Mark.
Ron and Kurt Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is, well, we have, it's right here. That's the master matrix.
You know, that,
application and all of that stuff is available to you.
I've got pictures on the phone of Ron and Kurt Morris land, plus the land they're putting it on, it's all flooded. It happens 2 or 3 times a year.
this isn't just from floods, this is from a heavy
This
rain.
is just
Heavy rains.
2-inch rain.
Right, and that came up at the meeting with the DNR and Becky was aware of that and the DNR.
This isn't something we just found out about. We've lived out there for 25, 26 years, all of us.
So
The wolves
just-
have been there for life.
Just to be sure, I'll
I've
just
been there
read all the
7 years.
names that are part of the mineral management plan. So it's Herb West North, these are the properties that are gonna be applying in the north. There's Herb West South, there's Marth, 100, Nauman North, and then Nauman South.
Now, those are just names to fields. That probably doesn't mean anything to anyone. That's just what we call them. So you probably want to look back at the easement acres, because those are just what we call the fields. So I
Those names
would,
probably do mean something.
Norman
I would
sold
think
them.
they-
No one
maybe
sold
some
it, this
of
is who they
these
bought it
guys.
from.
Yeah, Norman sold it to Riggs.
Yes,
Okay.
just a clarification, I haven't been involved in any of the conversations. And the owner, some property was being leased to several other parties. There's this guy, Mark, specific. That's where I'm at.
Roger?
I don't know who this gentleman, I couldn't hear his name, he said,
Mark,
from
Howard County.
Howard County. Are you a owner of any portion of Rice? Are you operating under your own name or under, is that the one that's making the application?
This is a new one. I got one under Basswood, you know, probably one.
Okay.
And who pays you?
Who
Rice
pays
Field.
me? I lease the barn to Rice. Not lease, I rent it. I do the chores, I do lawn care, I do everything involved with it.
So you're the hired.
And you don't live around it at all?
So you're not putting up $1 million to put it up. You're not putting up $1 million to put it up, or $1.5 million.
Yes, I am.
this is just like
You
any
know.
other site. When we're building a site, so if my son wanted to put up a confinement building, it's the same situation. So if my son wants to put up a barn, he's gonna put up a barn and he's going to have a contract with Prestige Farms, with Iowa Select, with Reichsview, whomever. So he's gonna have a contract with them. That's the same thing that Mark's doing. He's gonna put up a site, and he's gonna grow for Reichsfield. So that's what Mark is doing. He's putting up a site, and he's gonna grow for Reichsfield.
So why are you guys out of your county? Why are you coming?
Yeah, why
Why are you coming to
over
Floyd
here?
County?
Because you're
he found-
oversaturated
Well,
over
because
there.
he found a site that was actually gonna be workable.
So
Because
you-
where his site actually is, his sites actually are right now, he's already in a good spot. So Dale found a site here and he said, Mark, this is a good opportunity for you to put up a site for your sons. So this is what Mark is doing, because this is a good opportunity for his sons.
So you're not concerned with the water issue at all?
When they
How do
actually,
you
I've
propose
been
to get
around
a
this
truck,
for 35
how do you
years.
propose to get a truck in and out of there?
You haven't been around here for 35 years. You don't live in this
when they
county.
did the survey of the site, they showed them that everything is higher than the railroads. So the surveyor told them that this was gonna be an actually better site. So
Who was the surveyor? Was last name's Rice?
You were out there the other day, is that land higher
Is
than
that
the
land
railroad?
higher?
Your name, please?
Deb Heitman.
So, they have to rely on the people who are actually working with them.
So now that you know the facts, you're still not concerned?
We're listening to you.
Not when you don't.
But you stood out there, you know what's gonna be underwater. How do you propose to get food to these pigs? Pigs gotta have food every 3 days in a bit site like that, right?
Brian, do you have those pictures? Can we see those pictures? Bruce?
And-
Dave Redrat?
He had his hand up back here, you are,
Dave Redrat?
okay?
I was just wondering if we could see these pictures. Can we show them those pictures of the fields flooded? Maybe a little sight of what the water looks like out there might make a little bit more light of it.
We got
They've
pictures.
seen them.
I left them on the counter. Jordan's bringing them in, so hopefully they'll
Okay.
be here soon.
Bruce said he has some pictures on his
I've got
phone.
some on the phone, but, you know, when Nauman's auctioned this land off, you know, they auctioned off, what, 4 parcels? There's a reason this parcel sold for over 2,000 less than the other 3, because it flooded. You know,
County engineers in the room,
Dusty, do you have any comments about the roadways out there? Have they been underwater? Have we had?
170th and 18 washed over. I think that's some of the pictures. My secretary or office manager gives them to you, or maybe emailed. I can't remember who she emailed some to. And then in 16 it had washed over. We didn't. And then 18 we added. I think we went back with 40 ton worth of rock on 170th Street. Closer to that, to the west there. And then in 16, it washed off, but I think we just pulled rock out of the ditch and pulled it up on the road. We couldn't find any rock tickets that listed that through FEMA stuff. I think every year when we get a major event, I mean, it's there. I talked to my road foreman, that's who I was just messaging right now. And a lot of the stuff on T38, we did cornstalk removal, and then we did some shoulder work on T38. It depends on the heavy events that we've been having across the county everywhere for the last several years. That it's.
And I know you're not responsible for the railroad, but was the railroad washed out to your
I believe
knowledge?
so. They probably got better record than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it has. In fact, I think they said last year didn't it go to take the railroad out, or was it 2 years ago?
I don't think
I think it was 18. I thought, well, maybe it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, but it had taken it out in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I did try
Of
to
course, and I don't know
contact
what
railroad.
events. You know, I mean, look at what year it was, how bad it was across the county too. So.
Thank you.
In 93, it went over the blacktop, I'll guarantee that.
Well, believe me, none of us enjoy these weather events, and we hope that it's gonna change, but we don't know that. Yep, go ahead.
Brad Jones, I live on 1725 Kirkwood Avenue, Jim Erb's old farmstead. Been there since '97, and now this will be the 6th confinement that I can see from my house, surrounding my house. So whose fault is it when my family starts getting sick? I mean, you got studies from the University of Iowa, studies from this, Iowa State. There's respiratory problems, headaches, there's multiple issues. So who's responsible for that? Then do I sue the people that are building these? I mean, when are we gonna be, yes, we go by the matrix, but when are we gonna say enough is enough? We're causing health issues to people. I know there was a complaint in the paper a year ago from my neighbor that's just north of us about their having family health issues from the environment.
We got another
Roger
question.
Sutton, and this water concern, water is probably the most precious item we have on this earth right now. And the conditions that have occurred in Michigan, I think it was, and if the creek goes into the river and the river water is converted, you know, how long can we keep up with pollution? I mean, it's just, there's so many bad issues about these buildings. And now that I hear about the flooding that I didn't know about until just today, all of that water goes into our ecosystem and into that creek. And then, you know, it's no wonder there are no minnows in that creek. But, you know, you can understand it when you think about runoff and all the harm that can come from this. And we're not doing ourselves any favors with that kind of behavior toward our natural resources. And I think those are all the issues that I had written down.
So if the building does go in and then that causes the road and the railroad, everything to wash out, whose problem is that then? Because of the way they divert the water a different direction. Are you guys gonna keep continuing all the repairs just for this building to go in? That's gonna cost you more than you're gonna make out of it if it floods every time it rains.
If there's any way that you're ever going to prove that a building has caused a washout, that would be up to you.
Well, if it washes somewhere it hasn't washed in the past 20 years, I guess that would be the problem.
I guess, I got a question on how they meet their matrix, the score for this deal. You know, one was the second driveway. Why would the county even allow a driveway to be put in there that close to the railroad tracks and where it's a high flooded area? I mean, hey, there's down 14, there's people that have tried to build houses and they wouldn't give them access to the highway because that's too many driveways to the blacktop. They would want them to go down to the gravel road to even put an access, so they've moved down the road and put another driveway in. I mean, why are we even putting a driveway when there's a field driveway there? That's just giving them more points to make their matrix, and this is, I mean, there's so much red tape in this deal.
No,
The
and I
county
was
should
asking
never
that
let them
question
even put a
yesterday.
driveway.
Yeah, so you were there, Doug. I I mean, did you see where the location of the driveway is gonna be and everything?
There was a culvert down there, is it down next to the tracks? Well, Becky had a map.
Sounds like it's south of the railroad.
One south of the railroad tracks and one on
The driveway
170.
that we
Yeah.
drove in on is not the one that you're gonna use for that site.
No, we're using-
Well, the county should have an application for that driveway, right?
Yes, I have it.
Are we doing it?
So you should know exactly where it's at.
It's just south of the railroad tracks on the west side of the road, and then on 170th, it's west of the house building, so it's further west of the house. There's two driveways that were applied for. One was to remove a driveway and then use that pipe and then add on and make an 80 foot with pipe, and then south of the railroad tracks was another one outside the railroad right of way, because that would have to be accomplished that way. Make sure that, because the railroad would say one way or the other, but it's outside the railroad right of way. And in turns, it meets site distance, and then we size it for the pipes that we would typically be sized for. Like if it was in northeast Iowa, or Floyd County, southeast Floyd County, that's this road, that road, isn't either way. So we followed our same standards we do for everybody.
So why, my question to you is, why do they need another driveway? Why not use the existing one?
We don't have a policy per se across the county to say limit the number of driveways anybody has. So whether it's them or you or anybody else, we'll look at it and see, and if they want to put one in, they pay for the installation and put it in.
So as an engineer, do you think that's a good idea to put a driveway right there? Do you think that's gonna hold for the water that comes down through there?
Until a flood event happens, I can plan culverts and bridges for 1,000, 2,000 year floods. And that's not what you do, because it's not cost effective. So we do our normal standards and make sure here's what our drainage area goes, and we do with a 4-inch rain and a 2-inch rain and I think it's a 2-inch rain in a 4-hour time span. That's what everyone is established for. Otherwise, if that was the case, if I did it for the 100-year or 1,000-year events, every culvert and every driveway would be 6 foot wide deep, and that's, I
But
can't.
we're talking about just regular rains, not just 500-year floods. I mean,
No, I know that.
You know.
We go by acres that drain to a specific spot, and that's what we follow on every driveway.
But again, to my question, why do they need to switch the location of the driveway? I don't understand that. The driveway goes to the same field.
That's,
We wanted to come up along the tracks from a crop standpoint, and me owning it, why cut across the other field? When, we talked to people, they said it wouldn't work.
You won't actually own the driveway though. You'll just own the hog site. 4.7 acres, correct? You won't own the driveway. Reich's Family Farms owns the driveway. Right.
So the drawing,
You're on the driveway.
It's not only taxable, it says on the map for
Here's
the hog site.
what it looks like.
We'll have to own the driveway too.
Here's
That's
what,
a survey.
yeah,
Yeah,
so you'll own the driveway all the way along the railroad tracks up to the buildings.
yeah.
But if you read the fine print up there on the
we'll own the
hog
land.
site, he just owns the land. It's only taxable for the land where the site sits.
That's the land survey. That's the part survey.
But she just brought up the survey also, that was also done, the survey was done by which Reich?
Harold Reich surveying, how is Kirk Reich related to Mr. Reich?
I have no idea. I don't know what that is. Never heard of it.
Even though you guys hired him to do the
I didn't hire
surveying? Reichsview did?
I,
Who is Kirk Reich?
he's just, there's a lot of rights out
Yeah,
there.
Paul
I
Harrell-
realize that.
Paul
I
Harrell,
graduated
Kirk
from-
Wright.
Yeah.
They own their own company in New Hampton. They're stationed in Clear Lake, Waverly.
Not related to Reichsview Farm at all.
I think they're distant. I can't answer that. I'm not. I can't
That's who
say.
did the survey.
Yeah. I understand that. I don't know that. I don't think they are. To be honest with you, it might be distant, but I can't answer that.
There's a lot of people who have the same last names.
I realize that. I'm one of them.
You don't have to be so angry.
Well, don't.
It's our home, it's not yours.
Yeah, you're ruining our home, not yours.
This is where we live.
Enough. I have a very patient man in the back corner that wants to say something.
the drawing that you had up there on Friday, it showed the driveway coming in where the existing driveway is. What happened to that drawing, or how did that get changed now all of a sudden, or is other thing gonna change? She had a drawing she showed us on Friday that the driveway came in, the existing driveway went along the road and then made a turn at the tracks.
Yeah, they had a survey that I wasn't aware of.
Okay, I was just wondering how many other things are gonna get changed by what we got told.
Who had that drawing?
She
I
had
had
that.
that drawing for the driveway.
It was all mapped out where everything was gonna be, but now all of a sudden things changed again.
All right, so what is in this book? Is it wrong?
No, I just had a driveway drawing in there. And that was incorrect because they have a survey for the driveway, because they met with the county and they made a change to the driveway line. Because we went from the actual driveway, and now they're just coming up right there from where they put in a new driveway. It's number 19.
And another question we never got answered is what all that cement is there for? Where's that gonna go?
Got some reason. The only thing I can tell you about that is.
For what?
For Phil.
Bill,
It's not to be allowed to use that in the county right away, but once they get on their own property, they can use that.
Okay, so this shows
Yeah,
where you're going into an existing driveway.
Yeah.
Correct? And then going back. Is this right or wrong?
that's wrong, because they did a survey after visiting with the county, and they're gonna create a new driveway.
So this needs to be updated.
Yep, we'll update that. Because they visited with the county and they're meeting.
When did that happen?
When did you meet with the county? They met with the county a couple weeks ago.
When you say county, secondary roads.
Secondary roads. Yeah.
so did they still get their points for that?
End of July.
Was that half
Signed
the
off
point
on the
system?
driveway.
End of July, he said.
So when did they get the points? Was the points before or after that?
I don't know. That would be a question I have. Does it change the points? On number 19.
Number 19 is
Number 19.
So it does. I think the matrix was listed with 2 driveways, and that's extra points on the matrix. And now
20
it's
extra
1,
points.
so you lose 20 points on your matrix to even meet the score.
Has there been any study on what all of these capitals do to our wells? I mean, I know mine has high nitrates, and I've had 6 put up since, and that's been tested, in a 4-mile radius.
But that question is asked every single time.
I guess we're just
It needs to
asking.
get answered before we allow another one to
Our
go.
county, it's where we live. Help us out here.
I mean, where's
Don't
your
allow
dam?
this.
So can you answer
What did you say?
the points he made? He's claiming that you would lose 20 points by changing the driveway.
Eliminating one.
Eliminating 1, going to 1 instead of 2. It's on the matrix.
No.
Number 19 is for the truck turnaround.
No, we're still good. Because, I mean, it's basically, it's a minor change. It doesn't really change anything, quite frankly.
Does it change points?
No.
Because it is. It's truly about the truck turnaround.
So as supervisors, do you guys go through each one of these questions and go out and have somebody measure this? I mean, are they just taking their measurements?
Are you guys trusting?
Per se, like the measurements to the quarter mile to houses to the south of there and everything. You guys, who's out there measuring this? I'd like to know.
I believe the DNR is.
Jeff Sherman.
Jeff
Sherman is a DNR, and
He
he
just
goes through
couldn't
the
be here
questions.
Jeff
today.
verifies that, but the DNR also, there were 2 people, well, you saw them.
I was there, yeah.
Dan Bradford and I can't remember who the other one.
I guess my biggest question is, as supervisors, you're supposed to take care of us in the county. I mean, do you guys agree with this? Even though the matrix system says,
And again, this goes right back to the same thing, whether we agree or not, we're dealing with the master matrix, which is controlled by the legislature or not. And it's a scenario that we go through on every single one of these. We hear all these complaints, we hear all these scenarios, but our hands are tied.
so you have no power to do anything.
What I
Adjust scoring. They get to adjust the scoring on the master matrix.
Correct. And
That's what they get to do.
so have they been through each question? What is there, 44 questions? or
That's what
whatever?
Jeff and the DNR went
You
through.
guys can't deny, I mean,
Hang on.
when-
Hey, Jimmer,
Yeah, Jimmer, and this is just a follow-up and clarification of this. I think you've all been through, it's obvious, you've been through the matrix process. And the sanitarian isn't here, and that's, I was really gonna ask him the question. What's the follow-up? In other words, put the facilities in place. Do you have a system for inspection? Can you do anything? Are your hands tied so that you have to wait for a specific complaint? How does that all work?
I would believe it's a complaint driven if there's a mistake on.
So you don't go out, you don't have any system for inspection?
Not that I'm aware of.
The state has the
The
control
DNR,
over
I
those
mean, that's
things.
actually the DNR.
Yeah, not it.
Does the state do inspection?
I'd ask an operator right here.
They do inspections. So basically what will happen once a building is starting to have, starting construction, they have to have inspections during the construction process. So they'll have an inspection when they actually start pouring concrete. They'll have inspections throughout the construction process. And then once the building is in the phases of actually having hogs in it, they will have inspections throughout the time that they have hogs in their buildings. So they have to have inspections throughout the time they have hogs in their buildings.
Does the state do scheduled inspections, or do they do
They're
spot
non-scheduled.
inspections?
They're non-scheduled.
Non-scheduled, so they do spot inspections.
Yep.
Do the supervisors receive reports on that? So there's a feedback?
I don't remember seeing any reports.
The only thing we get back is just the master if there's changes to the master matrix,
Yeah.
or to the manure management plan. That's what we get is manure management.
So we can't request you checking the creek water before and after it's built? We can
What was that?
we can't request you to check the creek levels of nitrates or any other contaminants before this is built and then after it has been running to see if it's changed the creek water? I mean, you guys are within a stone's throw from the creek.
Yeah.
And you're worried about digging up a main tile even. You're I mean, how much closer to the water level can you get? And it's low land. It's all gonna flow that way. It's just common sense. Whatever that piece of paper says or not, it's still common sense. It boils down to it.
We had exactly the same meeting with just a different cast of characters a year ago. And it was concerned because there was one building in the Washington School watershed. And I pointed out to him then, every single facility like this is in a watershed of some kind, whether it has a name or, but every one of them is a watershed, every single one.
Major drainage district.
Right.
But not so many feet from county tile, county main. How big is that main? You guys know?
Well, it's not a county tile, it's a water district tile.
This is a drainage district tile.
It is.
And the main is on the north side of the
Main.
tracks and a lateral is on the south side of the
The
tracks.
main comes all the way from Rudd,
Right.
from there.
That's a
Correct.
common misdemeanor, and that's one of my things, we're trying to educate people. Everybody calls them county names, but they are not county names, they are owned by you people. We, if you're a drainage district resident, we are the trustees for most of those districts, but those tile belong to you. If you're
Who installed that ditch? Who dug that ditch in the 50s? It was the county.
At the direction of the trustees. The trustees asked the county to facilitate. So, but the district paid for it, not the county.
But the county comes and fixes them.
But the district pays for it.
And the charge goes back to the district.
And the county doesn't necessarily fix them. A lot of times they hire someone else to fix them.
Subcontracted, yeah.
Contract, not subcontract, contract.
But my point being, every single facility like this is in a watershed.
So there happens to be, we have quarterly meetings, and I'm on the board of the, oversee the Watershed Management Improvement Authority, which past supervisor Mark Ewan had, I think, spoken also at some of the meetings. I've read through the minutes where this topic gets brought up, and I think maybe it's time to bring the topic up again. We actually have another meeting next week on this, and it's represented by several counties, you know, and just to have that cross communication is important. about the water quality itself and what's happening and seeing if there's anything that can be done as far as studies. I am not aware that there has been, but I will bring that up next week because it's a good group to go ahead and have that discussion.
That's fine, but it's not gonna help us today.
No, and the other thing is I do know that Jeff Sherman also will go out and do water testing for anybody, you know, and on the residents too, that would like that. And he's had calls before and goes out and does those studies for you. If you're interested, get a hold of Jeff Sherman.
So what's the repercussion afterwards? If, say, 2, 3, 4 years afterwards, and our wells all go south, and there's more nitrates in there, then who do we blame? Then it's just our baby, right? We blame the DNR, we come back to the county.
We still have been doing our own wells. I mean,
Yeah.
before the damage is done, stop it before the damage is done. I mean, it's
That's what
bad.
we're asking.
That's what we're asking.
And what I did do yesterday, again, I reached out to Senator Brown, had a long conversation with him again about the fact that, and they're fully aware, we keep pushing that down at the state level that they, you know, do something to address modifications or do something with master matrix. They're fully aware of it. But what I was researching was to see, as far as our ability here locally, again, as a county, are there additional steps that we can take to make additional requirements? And I think we need to explore that again. There's certainly, and I'm having him help to research maybe what other counties are doing in trying to take additional steps. So whether it's even from the odor perspective, you know, should we as a county go ahead and put an ordinance in Floyd County to require them to do something with putting trees around these sites to help reduce some of the odor? Are there other steps that we can do to try and eliminate, you know, certain things that are cumbersome and bothersome, of course, to the neighbors? Water quality, from that perspective, I do know that these buildings are being built with higher restrictions than they ever were. We've got a lot of older facilities around, and I see the difference in what they're doing. But again, how do we monitor that? How do we, you know, review and make sure that if they're saying that they're built strong, that we have evidence to show that? And I agree with your point, well made.
So, these other counties that are saturated, and they banned
That was
them?
a question I was asking Roger, if he knows of a study. I've never heard of a study with concentrations or anything. If you have information, but I've never heard of that. You know, and again, I mean, the question is, or our purpose today is we're dealing with the master matrix. And we've heard, I don't know, how many hearings I sat through, but the questions, the concerns are always the same. You know, like, a scenario, so we could reject this application, but I guarantee you it would go down to the DNR and they would, there's no reason to reject it because of Kenny's location, anything.
If they can't build any more in Howard County, why can Howard County stop them and Floyd County can't?
I guess I'm not aware of how Howard County stopped them.
I'm not
I've
sure
never
either
heard
that
that.
Howard County has stopped.
So that's what I'm hearing from
The
all
Lime
these
Springs
people.
area. There was something that the people did with their land.
Oh, I know exactly what
I
you're
read
talking
an
about. There
article.
was, it was like 1,000 acres, they had a lifetime easement, but they could never be fixed up. But it was a very small portion of, you know, 1% of Howard County, there were 4 or 5 families that got together. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a long ways from stopping anything. But I would give you my lecture. We all have to admit that there is a tremendous concentration of these things. And what I said is when you do this, you're stealing from Floyd County's future. Nobody's ever gonna go out there and build another acreage. We're never gonna see the quality of life that you get out there in the country. We're never gonna see tax income from those places or residents out there. So every time you build one of these sites, you literally sterilize a little piece of Floyd County for us. Or Howard County, or Chickasaw County, or wherever you're building.
Exactly.
So you have to think about that, what you're doing.
You're 100%
to the future of Iowa. And I know it's all veiled under agriculture, but after a while, quality of life has to come in some places. And so the best thing that you could do is to police yourselves. You know, you have to admit, they're very saturated out there, and there's not a thing we can do about it except approve this. We can disapprove it, but it'll get approved anyway, and you all know that.
So if you do disapprove it, how long does it take to go back through the DNR?
They don't disapprove it, but for one thing, it's not a disapproval. They recommend or not recommend.
Right, so
based on the
if you not
scoring.
recommend it, quote, how long does it take to go back to the DNR and get
Same length of time.
same length of time as what, 30 days?
As if we approve it. As if we.
We have some more
Recommend.
days to go through this process.
But every time you approve things, it just tells the state that, oh, we have no problem. You guys need to start saying, no, we need to stop. Mark?
Mark Kewen, Cal City. Just a point of clarification for the board. There are options. What happens here today is the board will vote whether or not to approve the permit application. Recommend that to the DNR. And the DNR district office will look at the point scoring system, and if it scores the adequate number of points, and considering this question, it still will, the DNR will approve it. At that time, the Board of Supervisors will receive notice of that back to the auditor's office, and they have an option. They can appeal it to the Environmental Protection Commission in Des Moines. And Floyd County's done that once in the case that was up north of Caldwell. Certainly, after I hear this information, I think this is another type of example where they should, if they would, still object to the DNR because very important questions are raised. County Engineer Ronaldo just stated that water has been over the road 4 times over the railroad. It's been washed out. Apparently, there are pictures coming to validate that.
Yes, he was just went by 4 sites.
But we've all known in the flood of 2008 the devastation that occurred there. So that and the fact that they're adding another culvert closer to the road to block more water doesn't seem to be the type of foresight that the county supervisors should follow. This is a water quality issue. It's been clearly identified. And where does this water go? It goes into the watershed that ends up in Charles City, is that correct?
Correct.
Bayou Bend.
And Charles City is receiving a $1 million water quality award to clean up water in the watershed. Let's not use it for a hog confinement building of 5,000 finishers. Let's not use it for that. This is all in a watershed. You have to consider all these factors, but I just see that this is one reason we can certainly vote no. And then if the DNR says it scores points, object to it and go to the EPC and fight it. What's more important? Water quality of the people of Floyd County or an investor from Howard County? Thank you. Thank you.
A big, draw to Charles City too is the kayak course. And all that's dumping right into the river and goes right down the kayak course. You know, it's just common sense. If we don't want it, just help us out.
That's what we're asking. We want you guys to help us out.
If I may. I'll tell you what, I sit here and I listen, there's a lot of concerns. The state of Iowa has taken this ability out of our hands. It's been unfortunate, I think, in a lot of situations. I appreciate the fact that Reichs Farms is allowing you to move forward with this for your family. What concerns me is Reichs Farms appears to want to stay away from it. They're helping you do it. They don't want their name on it. They don't want the liability of it. And this gentleman back here said, who do we sue? Well, they're not going to sue Reichs Farms because Reichs Farms isn't going to own it. You are. And that really concerns me. It looks to me like there's a real problem with our system here. And I agree, if we don't stop it locally, if we don't at least put our voice in, how are they ever going to hear us? So that's my concern. And I appreciate what you're trying to do for your family and everything else, but this is a lot bigger issue than that.
And again, we found that out at zoning hearings the other, a couple, 3, 4, 5 years ago. We tried to, there was some wording in there that was construed that we were trying to find what a family farm was, and so that all got taken out of there. But you're corporate ag, you're not a family farm. To me, corporate ag should be ruled by the same rules. We have 2 huge chemical facilities here in Salt City. And if you had to operate under their rules, it would certainly be a whole lot different than what you're under.
I'll speak for Reicher's Farms. They are a family farm. They're owned by Dale and his wife and his 2 kids. So, I've worked for him for 14 years. I've been in the hog industry for 35. I saw the way we used to do it 35 years ago, and I see the way we do it now. Do I feel there's a lot less watershed than what there was 35 years ago? Absolutely. I've been in barns for 35 years. I know where they're at. My son lives right on. Lives right next door to the barn. So, do they stay one while? I'll say yes. Do I think they're a good building, we control the environment? Absolutely. Yes. I love the hunt, I love the fish. I don't want to ruin that.
Where do the Reichs live? Where do they live? Where are they located at? Pardon?
New Hampshire.
Reichs are located in New Hampton? And they live in the city of New Hampton?
Away from all the smell.
And then how do you control that now? I mean, you can look at it, but that's.
We have looked in the stuff, we put plans in there.
You can look at it. Yeah, those pictures there, they'll make it around.
They're passing some pictures around here which show water.
Here's another,
But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna excavating this, and just because there was water there, doesn't mean it's a floodplain.
Oh, yeah, I've
It's
seen
gonna
it.
happen. They,
But it will happen
It is
there.
happening.
We've been on. So, I guess,
I got one more thing about the family farms of Reichsview Farms. It's obvious, like I work at Valero, okay? We sell distillers and Reichs has bought distillers from us, Family View Farms, or family farms. They pull in there with Mexicans in their truck. We gotta talk into their phone because they don't even speak English. And they get lost on the road when they're coming back. They don't even speak English. They don't even, you gotta talk into their phones just to deliver product into their truck. I'm not a personal, but I'm just saying it's not family. I'm pretty sure it's not their family.
so, one thing I guess my recommendation right now is that with all these issues that are coming up, especially I think it would be my recommendation to table this. I believe we still have time before the deadline, that if we,
September 3rd.
but we could have further discussions on this next Monday.
Next Monday is Labor Day.
Labor Day, that's right, it's Labor Day, on Tuesday. I just think there's too many things that are up in the air right now. We've got some flooding issues that we've got concerns with. I have a hard time believing that you didn't know about the other building that was going up, and I think we need to review that number per, if we're exceeding that, that's a concern to me.
Isn't that Demery's building? Is that under Demery's?
Yeah.
That's listed in that email too, Demery's
I don't know if it says anything on the.
affiliated with Rice Farms also. They knew about it.
Well, Linda, at this point, our hearing is still open.
Yeah.
So we aren't at that point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think there is a lot of, open discussion that we're having right at this point. That I appreciate everybody's feedback on this.
The only thing I would reiterate, and we can get Jeff Sherman here, but when meeting with the DNR, neither one of them had any concerns about this site. I've seen it.
They're just looking at the
I'm just
matrix
thinking-
system.
What's that?
They're just looking at the matrix system. They're
That's
just
right.
going by that.
That's right, and that's exactly.
We want to go higher than that. Just like he said before, this doesn't help Floyd County. There's another thing that was brought up to me. Floyd County's been battling these roads, right? So I've heard like 50% of our budget's going up north where all the hog consignments are to fix these roads.
I would dispute that.
How much of our budget goes north up by Elma, Riceville, all up in there
As far as
for fixing these roads? Take a drive.
in
up
Floyd
there.
County, you're talking?
Yeah, Howell area, yeah.
We had 1 point, this is the most spot rocking I've ever done across the county, and it's across the county, it's not just northeast. So, that said, and the contract rock is finishing up right now, which every road got in the county, or every other road every year. So, I mean, I'm fixing whatever roads there are. I mean, like I said, is there more up where it's concentrated maybe up there? Maybe. But there again, the traveling public or people, residents live up there, I've got to fix them as much as we can, so. But we do it everywhere too. I mean, we have been.
Well, I realize
There's
that,
been other areas.
but you guys see a huge
Yeah.
change.
We see it from the local farmers that are running their corns to and from, to the hog building areas, to the milk tank haulers. Everybody that runs that, especially this year. This year was an odd year through across the state. It wasn't just Floyd County. I'm also got Chickasaw County. Chickasaw's a little worse over there, just I think because of the quality of rock. We've got a good fortune that we've got good quality rock in Floyd County, I'll tell you that, because I didn't have that luxury in Chickasaw. I probably did twice as much spot rocking over there this year just because of quality rock. Here, you know, we're across the county, there was a lot of roads this year that were bad. So I think you have to look outside this year, but, and I said, I'm not just gonna point fingers at one thing or the other, I'll be honest with you.
I mean, it was Holland Grange.
Holland Grange,
We have large equipment that are going underground.
and equipment's getting bigger too. I mean, a lot of people now.
Well, I agree with that,
And a farm
but
that's
the
coming out of the
concentrated
field.
areas are hurting our gravel roads.
Well,
They're not doing them any good, and we're paying for it, not Reich's Family Farms. There's no cost to them.
the portion that I get is 75% minimum. If I wanted to do property taxes, look at that. The road use tax is what's my biggest supplier of my revenues for my budget. Property taxes, I get minimum. Most of everybody's property taxes go into schools, so I'll say that. But that's the way the system's set up. I mean, I'm getting revenues from property taxes from the board of supervisors at a 75% minimums per the valuations per 1,000. And my amount there probably is right around 1.1 million, 1.2. I can't remember what it was. It was about 70,000 from the GB, and RSP was about 1.2. So you're talking 1.3 million and 13,000 people, $100 per person comes to me. So, yeah. So I make up on road use tax, but that's usually free. Everybody pays road use tax, so. But you're
As
right.
far as 50% businesses in the northeast corner, that's not.
I'd like to study all that goes around these. I mean, I've been on like I said, on our house since '97. This year, by the capital that was built just north of us, a mile north of us, the school bus couldn't even go down the road. Because right where their semis kept turning in and out was dug out.
Yeah, we had areas across the county that were
If you go
impassable.
look at Jeff on the map, we have one up in the supervisor's room too that shows those concentrations. There's a huge concentration on the Riverton Township. You don't ever hear about those. You know, it's as populated with hog houses as anywhere else in Floyd County. You just don't hear anything about it.
We didn't care. We do.
But I would encourage you too, you need to talk to Todd Pritchard, you need to talk to Waylon Brown.
Absolutely.
These people can't change it by themselves.
They can't, but they can prolong it. They have the power to do that. Mark Kuhn just, I mean, he's been in this, he knows. He's been in the state legislature also.
That's exactly it.
He knows, change out there.
But he knows there's things you can do to prevent it.
So I have it on there. So
That's owned by Rice Land.
I don't know,
currently.
but I have it on my map.
You don't know that Rice owns that.
Well, I mean, I just show it on my map because I can find it on any map. So, again, well, I mean, I look up everything. So, I mean, you look up everything in these maps. So, I mean, I don't look up to see who owns it, but I look up to see any, so I don't look up to see who owns any of this stuff. That's not my responsibility. I don't care who owns these management plans. I care about my client. But I don't need to know who owns these. But I do, I don't know. But I mean, I need to know who owns it. Because I worry about
That it's there.
Oh.
The numbers and costs.
But there's an additional building on that side, on that.
Same tract of land.
Proximity, exactly.
It is.
Yes. To me, that is a huge concern, so yeah, so I mean, it's shown.
It's
What's
one
the
tract.
intent of that
This-
land division to get?
I'm gonna show this map. This is what they put out. Jeff has these maps. But anyway, they use the GIS and they have the distances from every single resident, from every building, from everything, even from their hog setup. And you care if I pass that around?
It's in your
It's in the
packet.
packet.
Huh?
It's in there.
Yeah,
I know, I'm just, it's here just so they can pass it around and see.
so other people see it.
Right, and that's how they determine the sighting distance. And that's what
But
I
again,
said
you
about
know,
that.
I went to this meeting, I was there before you were, Becky showed up. She didn't have any clue who I was, and I asked, well, what about this Reich's Farming Farms? She denied even knowing her. You know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
mean, I know, but I just don't know, I mean, I didn't know exactly what you were asking.
You didn't know you were standing on their property,
Well, I didn't know who owned that piece of property.
really?
I know,
Now, you know?
but that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I know it doesn't matter.
Because you don't live here.
How about the red house that's been, gonna be just right downwind of this, south of it? Would you live there?
South of it, yeah.
You would live there?
What about
In
the
the red
red,
house?
what about the tan one that's north?
Sell it to you.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving my.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're,
Because of the
Like
smell.
I'm explaining out there, Becky's job, and I'm not protecting Becky, but Becky's job is to fill out the master matrix. That's what her company does.
Right, I get that. But she obviously knows the land around there, you would have to know that. You would pay attention to that, you wouldn't have to.
So
Just,
she lives, well, how far is Rockwell City?
I can see it. Probably about 200 miles.
Yeah, so she's not gonna recognize the local names like the rest of us. But anyway, her job is to fill out the master matrix, and that's what I said, if you think you're gonna find a mistake on the master matrix, I don't think you're going to, because she knows more about the master matrix than the DNR. She's mistaken.
Then they're automatically approved that.
What's that?
If she knows more than the DNR, you can pull the wool over anybody's eye.
No, no, that's not true.
I didn't mean
That
it.
that's what it sounds like to me.
No, I would never, no.
You're reading something into that that's not.
Well, you just said she knows more than the DNR.
Some people are good at their jobs. That's all it is.
you talk about tax money, you know, what it costs to fix these roads and stuff. What's gonna happen when it gets so concentrated that all the public gets together? Last year, you raised my evaluation $20,000. And you know darn well that this goes in, it's probably gonna drop $50,000. What, the tax, our evaluation, the taxes won't, but what happens once it all comes back, it's gonna happen, if you can't sell these and you start selling land off, if we sell ours, you have to drop the valuation. Look at the tax dollars you're gonna lose in the next 15, 20 years because of all these. And you don't have tax money now, it's gonna happen.
Actually, and I don't, this doesn't, as much probably want to hear, but in the Cowell area, there's been nothing to support the sales of properties values going down. The properties have been selling for above assessed values.
you're talking house?
Residential,
Households?
residential has sold higher than
Pretty sure.
assessed. Unfortunately, I mean, you would think it would go the other way, but
How come all the realtors tell everybody wants to sell, you got a hog building, you know, you ain't gonna get what you got?
Again, we hear all these concerns.
Well, I know you hear it, I'm just saying it's gotta happen down the road, because these acreages, people can't sit outside, you know? And I'm talking about the tax, I ain't talking about us, I'm talking about the tax money you guys to fix the roads and stuff. Once that valuation goes down, you're losing a hell of a lot, gonna lose a hell of a lot more tax money than these are gonna bring in.
Again, my advice, we'll talk to Todd Richard, William Brown, they're here too, or anybody outside. It's a whole entire state of Iowa who's talking about this, not just Floyd County.
Yeah, I agree with
But by the
that.
time they decide to do anything, the county's gonna be full of them. It's gonna be too late.
They meet the rules that they're Put outside state.
Yeah, you
But
gain
still have- you
3,
can
4,
still say
5,000
no.
a year.
That's the thing, you guys can still say.
Who's gonna say
"We
anything if
review
we
this,"
don't?
But we don't approve it.
I don't think you understand. We can.
You can say that,
but
yes,
it's
you
not-
can. We've got a water issue here, and you guys could say, we don't approve this. Don't tell me you can't. You guys keep saying, every single meeting I've seen, oh, yes, we understand, we know what you're saying, but, it makes the matrix. No, if you want to change it, and you guys keep saying, the matrix needs change, but you keep approving it. It comes down to, you guys are approving it. You say, yes, yeah, we can also go and talk to everybody, but you guys can also stand up and say, enough's enough. We're gonna not approve it for once. We're gonna call the EPA or whatever. We're gonna fight this. You even said that it lowers our, it hurts Floyd County having these come in. So, why are you approving it? That's my opinion.
We're just asking you guys to fight
Yeah,
for
fight
us.
it.
We elected you guys, fight for us. That's what we want, that's what we expect out of you. You know,
You can't say you don't have a.
that's why we
reason
want you
when
where
you've
you're
got-
at, because we want you to
When
fight.
you've got all the pictures of the water and stuff, it's not just once every 2 years, it's every year. It might not go to the blacktop every year, but it's flooded every year.
If you don't live out there, you don't see it, it's ungodly. It's crazy.
And how many of these have to go in before the people get mad and change the election votes?
And seeing that, one of the big things on the north side of the tracks, that's one of the biggest flooded areas. I mean, the water is huge on the north side, and I know the site's on the south side, but the north side is where the manure is in the county.
Yeah,
Okay.
the pictures on my phone.
So, you put that manure in there and you get that water running, it's crazy.
So the manure is spread over.
On the north side of the railroad tracks.
It's on the north side of the.
I've got pictures on my phone, the whole.
The north side of the
160
railroad
and
tracks
100
and the north side of
Whole
107.
260 acres is flooded, I got it on my phone. If you're gonna spread the manure,
It floods all the way up to the building, where they got the building sites.
yeah,
There is another,
plus it's flooded right against the one that got up.
445.
So the manure management plan spreads it on 445 acres.
We don't need that many acres, but we have 135 acres.
Yeah,
But it all runs to
but
that
I
file.
live around 160, 260, plus the land they got the building on. And that's all flooded. So out of that 400 and some, you're talking, what, 260, over 300 is flooded.
My challenge is, I farm, we have livestock, and I believe in family farms, I do. And the one thing that I have done is, that has been brought to our attention, again, I think it was this that you had shared, you know, we've been receiving emails from Nancy Dugan, and her biggest concern is the fact that, you know, corporate farming versus family farming. State Code, Chapter 9H. And I have gone ahead and I'm trying to work with our county attorney's office to make sure that, you know, what's our stance on this? Is there anything that we as a county even have any control on, you know, to stop? Because I do not want, and I think moratorium was mentioned once, you know, and I'm the one who said, I don't want to put a moratorium on livestock in Floyd County. I'm a family farmer. I want that ability, you know, for those families that live in this community, that live in this county, to be able to flourish and be able to provide that opportunity to their children. I've got 6. I wish they would have wanted to continue farming, but I don't want to stop that. I don't. I think my concern is when we have, you know, these companies that are coming in here, and I say corporate farmers versus, and try to define what that is. And in 9H, there's some good definitions in there on what's considered family versus corporate, that come in and go ahead and put up the buildings so they don't live here.
Or
Like
have
you
the
said,
intentions of living there.
or have the intentions. I think that's where, I would like to hear from the county attorney's office on that, so I have, you know, gone and have reached out to them. So again, I'd like some time to get to their comments on.
Linda, I agree, and I absolutely support family farms. and my comments earlier were the fact that this doesn't look like a family farm. And I don't see anybody breaking ground to put a foundation in for a house to set next to this, that it becomes a family farm. And I don't even see any plans in the future for that. So I don't see any way, shape, or form, there can be all the definitions in the world about what a family farm is. This isn't a family farm in my mind.
None of the
In
six are.
response to that, will your kids build a house there?
We got a couple around Crestwell, I'm gonna be honest, and probably say probably not right there. Do they live where there's these farms? Yeah.
There's a nice red one just south there, a beautiful acreage to the north, they'll sell you. And we've been here forever. Lived in this county my whole life.
But I think you
Not only
understand
live there,
our challenge.
I have a business
I
there.
hope you understand our challenge on this.
The last one that we did, there were some emails that came to us about ownership and who owned them and who operated them. And it really, you know, it made me think real hard about the fact that what are we doing for our family farms? And you can hear where I'm coming from on this. And when we're ready to close the hearing, we should do that, unless there's more productive information out there. And we really want to hear from everybody. We don't want to squelch anybody's comments, but repetition isn't going to do us any good.
Well, I didn't mention that before, but I have Schmidtke Auto Body out there. I think you all know that anyway, but I've been out there for over 20 years. It's my sole income. I don't want that there ruining my business.
And you live there.
Yeah, I live there plus, yes.
You don't just run a business, but you live there.
And I collect taxes for Charles City, Iowa, the 1%. Have for many years. The hog confinement's not gonna collect taxes for Charles City, Iowa. That
My
goes back
thoughts-
into the community.
My thoughts on the taxes, and we're all concerned about tax base, and gentlemen over here commented about value of properties and stuff. But I think a bigger picture is, what's our water quality?
Yeah.
Where do we end up in the end? You know, we can talk about tax base all day long, but if we don't have good water to use and good air to breathe, there's where the problems come in. And we do have a lot of family farms in Floyd County. We have a lot of family farms that have ag buildings out there. Linda's an example of that. They've got an ag building on their property. They live right next to it. So,
Which, I support family farms too. And we all do.
Absolutely.
Dennis grew up milking cows. I mean, it's
We had
been,
pigs too.
yeah.
It's a good
Not
thing.
against the livestock.
Like I
you know?
said, I grew up there. I've been there 70 years. I grew up there.
How many people can drive past my place and tell I have hogs there right now? Not a single one, probably. That's the difference between the way they used to be raised and the way they are raised now. Back in the day, nobody had problems with neighbors that had pigs. I think it needs to get back to more of the small type farmers. We won't have all this.
There's too many in the
These
concentrated
big guys,
area.
when is the limit? Where's the top? You can only get so big before there's major problems.
And like you
And I'm
said,
in business, there's always a difference between the way people run business. Some people have a two-person operation, some people have a 1,000-people operation. That's always the way it's gonna be.
Becky, can you talk about anything that is, what makes it kind of a good neighbor thing to the area? I think you've talked before about how fans go up instead of across. I mean, what's this facility gonna be like?
We have our fans going up, don't we, at the site? Where your fans go straight up?
They won't hear.
They won't hear, how will your fans set?
They'll go on the back
On
side.
the backside, away from the road? Okay, which is why we're further away from the road? Okay. So our fans will go directly to the back, so they won't be, which is why we're further away from the road.
Directly to people.
what are you talking about back? Which direction?
West.
So, so we'll be quite a ways from the road, and we're gonna have a good separation from everyone, which is what we're trying to maintain. We're trying to maintain a good separation from everyone. We wanna make sure that everybody, has a good relationship, with us, and so we will give everyone a business card when we leave today if they like one. So if they have issues, they can contact us. We don't wanna have issues with any of our neighbors. We wanna make sure that everybody has a good relationship with them. So if they have problems, we want them to be able to contact us. But we will maintain a relationship with all of our neighbors. So if they have issues, we want to be able to contact us. We don't want to have issues with our neighbors and we want to be able to go along with them. We can contact you before we scrub manure so that everybody knows when we're going to scrub manure. We don't have a problem doing that. We will be direct injecting our manure when we do direct manure. So it shouldn't affect people when we do that. That's the best way to incorporate manure anyway, just so we don't have as much odor. It makes it a lot simpler for our neighbors and also for ourselves. It's a better way to actually get the best nutrients in our ground. So we like to do it that way, just because it's better for the ground and then also for our neighborhood. It'll make it a lot simpler, I think, for everybody if we can do it that way. We want to keep everybody happy. I think it's just a lot simpler if we can try to get along with everybody in the neighborhood. So.
Okay, Jim?
About just a couple of things, not directly related to what's been said. Number one, on the manure management plan, I need to see that, because I'm not sure whether being said that everybody is an owner and tenant within that plan radius or whatever has been contacted. So I thought that needs to be looked at to make sure. The other thing is I would second what's being said about the watershed coalition. I'm involved pretty specifically with that whole effort, and I do think that is one of the ways that ultimately this is going to have to be addressed, is to develop plans that are watershed wide to get our arms around the water quality issue and as it compares to the economic development issue. I don't have magic answers, but I know we're working on it.
Cool. Anybody else? So with that, I'm going to declare the hearing closed and we'll move on to item 8, which is review action regarding a letter to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources regarding Lancer LLC Master Matrix 4 and recommendation regarding the application. So,
Yeah, I'm willing to make a motion. I would like to make a motion that we do not recommend the application as presented, based on a lot of the facts that we've had here today. And turn that over to the DNR.
Can you motion include the scoring, if there's any scoring disagreements?
There are no scoring disagreements that I'm aware of, no. No. Just the issues that have come up here today, ownership, flood, the issues of the air quality and what it's doing to our groundwater.
well, just for the sake of doing something different, I'll second that motion. And we'll just go through the process and see what happens. I think we'll all be disappointed in the end, but we'll try that. So it has been moved and seconded to
not recommend the application as presented.
Do not recommend to the DNR the application as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Motion carries 2-1. Okay. We'll see what happens. So we'll move on to item 10, as long as Dusty's here. Review action on adopt the highway application from Gil and
Thank you all for coming.
Yep.
It's been a good discussion.
So how many days does that delay everything? Do we have another meeting?
No, this is it.
So the next step then, right, will be
Right.
we'll get, like we get a call from I'll get an email from the DNR. And
It's in the hands of the
they'll
DNR.
ask for some mutual consent to why the county's not recommending it. But since it doesn't have to do with scoring, they probably won't the next thing will probably just be they'll
So you
send a
can't get a
permit.
hold of the environmental committee, you know? You can't?
So once they'll issue a draft permit,
Mhm.
and we'll have so much time after the draft permit is issued, I think it's 30 days, I'm not sure, before it goes to the Environmental Protection Commission. And then the board can attend, and that's a public meeting, anyone can attend that commission meeting down in Ankeny, I think, or Ankeny, I'm not sure.
So will everybody that got a letter being around there get a letter for that?
No.
Can we request that we,
That letter comes from Floyd County.
so can we request that we get
It
that?
comes to Lake County.
Or do we have to get down the DNR site? How do we find
No,
out?
if you let me know who wants a letter and give me an email address, I can forward the draft to you. I got yours,
Yep.
so.
And in the meantime, I want to start looking into flooding issues and all of that.
I'll see if I can get some aerial
I'm going to talk to
pictures,
the
too.
watershed management, like I said, next week. You know, I want to start pursuing, again, I've got the county attorney looking at this chapter 9.
The flooding is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
It's gonna go right to there. I mean, it's just common.
I wonder if some of the
Best
flooding.
thing that you can do is
Yeah.
go over that Dan Bradford at the DNR that walked you through all of it.
At where?
Dan Bradford, the guy that was out there from the DNR.
Oh, from the DNR, okay. And he's from the Mason City office.
And
The younger
information
guy or
is-
the older guy? The older guy.
Probably the younger one. is
Yeah, I guess
Grady
it could
or-
be the older guy.
Yeah.
Grady is probably.
Grady was the younger guy. Well, he was
Anyway,
just.
we truly believe, you know, that there's some things that we can do here.
And the
You know,
information
that's
that
trying.
Supervisor Jaden collects might be good information to take to the Environmental Protection Commission meeting if the board decides to go to that, or any member of the board decides to go to that.
Right, absolutely. So we're gonna look into these things.
Thank
It's
you
the
for
right thing
listening.
to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's time to start looking into these things.
And I'm not against family.
Don't
be
think
different.
I know,
If your
that's
kids
why
are doing something, but even,
Moratorium is not where I wanna go, because
No.
I don't wanna do that to the family farms,
No.
but, you know, there
Farms-
definitely are some.
farms are our whole, I mean, whether it be
Our
crop,
backbone.
it's our backbone of the whole community.
Absolutely.
But these guys are
Yeah.
LLCs, I mean, they're big corps.
And just as there's people that are arguing about the manure, the smell, all of that, there's people on the other side that are saying the pesticides and the chemicals that are being put on the ground are worse than the manure.
Right.
Right.
So there's.
Oh, I
There's
know.
two sides to every story,
I know.
and yet, like I said, I just think there's some steps that we, and the other one that I wanted to take is a step on, are there things that we could do to create some additional ordinances in the county that make them required to do more?
Mhm.
You know, maybe not stop it, but
Obviously,
there
the
are some
matrix is a
steps.
generic, I mean,
Yes.
it's a, just a,
That's why we have
starting
so,
Number one is
we have,
20 years old.
what's that?
Number one is 20 years old.
Yeah.
And nothing.
And nothing
But,
changed.
but we're still pushing for that too, and I don't
Right.
want you guys to think, that's why I called my senator yesterday and had a long conversation. That needs to be continued at the state level, you guys, and I don't want that to stop.
And everything needs updated, the floodplain maps, too,
Yeah.
same thing. I mean, there's, in 10 years, how many more
And they've been
tile
also
have dumped into
updating on
there,
the book.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But as Doug said, don't, or was I gonna say, don't be upset, this will probably go through. Because it's not.
At least we're trying, we're not
We're
sitting back.
trying, I
Yeah.
know.
But you need to
that's-
contact your legislators.
Yeah. So you guys, please, you know, nothing happens overnight, but we really appreciate your feedback, we really do.
I would make contact with Dan Bradford, have him keep
Yep.
up the guy with the DNR.
Gloria, you have his number, don't you? Dan Bradford.
I don't.
You can find it
I have
on-
Cindy
you can
Garza.
find
Is it in our website? Okay.
Go to
Cindy
Mason-
Garza is the
Mason
district
City office.
person.
Okay.
Cindy
Yeah, I'll
Garza.
talk to him.
I think I forwarded you Cindy Garza's
Yeah,
information.
yeah.
She, she's over Dan Bradford.
Oh, yeah, I talked to her before the meeting, actually. Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And the other thing may be that, all that water issue as well.
You what? Oh,
There's
yes, I'm
two
sorry.
tiles there that maybe there's tile issues as well.
Yeah,
That's
your
flooding.
pictures.
That's our largest.
You know, we need to
Yeah,
look
there
at
could
that
be.
definitely.
And there's a lot of water here.
Fifty
I think it was,
percent is
I think it was,
We've
I
had
think it was
it here, we're gonna continue
2007,
with our.
or 1916. Somewhere in 1916.
Again, we're on item.
It's old.
Because it's drainage district number 3.
Yeah.
It's a low number, and all those were in the early 1900s.
What you got?
LLC.
Over the adopt a highway?
Excuse me?
What does LLC mean?
Limited liability corporation.
Well, there it is, a corporation.
Limited liabilities aren't considered corporations. They're still
Right.
considered small owners. And it was, they don't have this, there's,
Just out the highway, basically
it's
from
like LEC and
T18 from
limited
basically
liability
golf course.
partnerships, they're a different level now.
Yeah.
Where T18
They don't have requirements.
South
Full
down
corporation.
T6.
Makes sense.
That's
Okay.
5 miles, so it's down.
Okay. All right.
They're just residents. They don't have a business.
So they
or
just
anything.
wanna,
I read the name on there, but it was just
Yeah,
like,
Bill.
a lot of people do that.
You know, and they go through
I
the
think
process.
that's great. That's,
We're at item 10, obviously.
Item 10. Yeah. Hearing is over. Also known as Keep Floyd Fresh. Is that,
That's the name I am.
okay. And you, obviously.
Floyd
approved it.
Fresh,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
AKA Keep Floyd Fresh is
Oh,
the
yeah.
adopted highway application.
There's one spot.
All right, so I will move to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
You're in the
Well,
go.
Did you already, Linda?
I was just starting to go ahead. right?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the application from Gill and Darlene Eaton. Keep Floyd Fresh for the Adopt a Highway program for the area that's been identified on the application.
T18 or Dancer Avenue.
All right, and I will second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the application. Adopt a highway application from Gill and Darlene Eaton. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'd like to say if we get more people to do this, it would be great.
Item 11, review action on bid results for the purchase of a 1962 crane for the secondary road department.
Where we at? I'm sorry.
1962 crane.
Oh, yes. Basically what this was is our old crane. Obviously, we've had it for a while. We really haven't used it the last several years.
Remember 1962, Justin?
No, it wasn't brand new when they bought it. They were still out over on, in the building. over there.
Yes.
Oh, on
And
the
second
second.
on it. Okay. I gotta find it.
So it's been around.
There it is. So, basically what I did, I used to sit up at the table. This was on the ground floor. So if you really want to see the old pictures, that I even take them down here. Anyways, I don't technically always do this on as far as the selling equipment, but I just figured for transparency, you know, this equipment's just sitting there rusting. I did get 4 bids. And so I'm just recommending taking the high bid for this. We looked at weight of the steel and sale price there, and we're not gonna get basically probably $1,000 if we just jumped it out with steel. So Rhinebeck Motors, I believe, is also the same as PCI. It's the same rep as PCI.
Sure.
They'll probably use it for in their yard unloading and loading stuff like that. I did get some other bids though. I was kind of cool to see. I didn't know what I was gonna get for anything. On my initial thing, I had kind of sent that I had a reserve on it. Well, my reserve was basically about $1,000. If someone only offered me $500, I can bring
For
steel
scrap
to
price.
scrap price. Yes. So basically, I just recommend the sale to Rhinebeck Motors. I'll notify them. They'll cut me a check and they'll come pick it up.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the recommendation.
And I'll second that.
Rhinebeck Motors for $2,450.
And I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to accept the high bid of Rhinebeck Motors for $2,450 for a 1962 crane. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 12, discussion with county engineer regarding secondary road activities. Today's the day, huh?
We're done. What's that?
You're gonna get done rocking.
Yes, should finish today, yes. The northeast part, probably, well, as of this morning, it's about 16, 17 miles left to run. So,
Which is all the way to
get
the
that
northeast
today.
corner.
Yeah. Try to treat those roads the same as all the rest of the county roads as far as hauling rock.
Now, this is the contract rock we're talking about.
Correct,
Right.
yes, yes. We'll still spot rocking as needed if it comes up.
900 and some odd tons.
Yeah, whatever we contract.
Yeah.
You didn't add a whole lot more to the contract.
I told Tim if he wanted to, there was some stretch, rather than having our guys haul one
Sure.
load here, one load there, if he upped it 100 times here and there, that's something.
Okay.
I'll let him make that judgment call as they're hauling. One question I had, maybe I saw you, Gloria, the new trash compactor at the collection site. Insurance, how do we want to pay that insurance? There's not a code with sanitary to code that. Do you go through me, or do you want to do it through your general, through you guys?
I do it, I can do it at 50,
It's
$100.
$65.
Yeah, either way.
Okay, I just think, I don't know the secondary road should be covering that offset, so I don't know if you could cover that or whatever, if that's okay. Okay, all right, I'll just have them to line up with you. Sorry, that was just part of that. Do you want to see any pictures of 170 and 18 and 16, or are we over that? You want them to have it?
Let's see.
2 pictures are from 18 and 2 pictures from 16. Contract rock should finish up today.
Is that on 238 or?
That's 170. These are all 170. Now I talked, because we don't have a lot of records of T-38, because remember that when FEMA comes through, that is a federal highway.
Right.
And we do not, typically, if there's not, unless there's over $5,000 damage, we don't keep track of it. I mean, we may keep track of the rock. Basically, I talked to Tim McKelvin this morning, and basically on that T-38 stuff, shoulder, and that's why I said that, and Tim had messaged me that most of it's expensive shoulder repairs. Hauling up some rock there and this and that, but it hasn't been structure per se, road. You guys can keep those if you want, but we give them up from our FEMA files. And in 16, there was no rock haul to that area, we just pulled out of it. 40 ton rock at 10 ton is $400. Yeah, yep.
I just wonder really if there is tile issues. If there's broken tile issues as well.
Is that 3? Isn't that 3?
Drainage Street, yeah.
That 3, that tile, I'll be honest with you, it's probably a foot deep. From what I remember Kelvin telling me that tile's only a foot deep. There's spots where it's needs to be.
Yeah.
There's spots out there that
Because
it's
that's
not
what it
very
looks
deep.
like. It looks like there's a problem there.
And that one's one that, when they put the avenue through, they never classified or anything. And that avenue had
That's a big
caused a
one, too.
huge difference in the classification of that property. And that was never done. There were some estimates that the engineer did at that time but it basically was just allocating the same value for old road to new road, but,
So, yes, yeah, so let me go say, that's a big drainage issue too.
Yes.
That's huge.
yes.
That's
Our
something to
largest
think
one.
about for future too, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. We're still working on the classifications on the 2 assessments that we have on that one, because we're having such a time problem in the schedule.
Bridge project out north and west of the fairground, basically substructure work, the East Button, West Pier were poured yesterday. So substructure. Plugging along with that, which is good.
No water moving at all.
No, it's pretty stable. Wrapping up paperwork on 170th Bridge just still, and working
Good time
on,
to do the work.
working on details for next year's bridge. We're going through the check plans middle to the DOT on that, check and final. That's the bridge that's in the northwest part of the county. Continuing with design work on the following year's bridge, which is 180th, over by the quarry. And then T-38, working out those final plans.
Quarry.
How's that? I give them all, it's the W one, on by Cameo and 180th. Is that one house or one house? I get them mixed up, yeah. No, the one that's 180th and Cameo.
Oh, we over the
Where the ADM was gonna build at one time. But that's one that's in the program too. And then T-38 project, that is work through the final plan, check final plans for that with the DOT. Get that for letting in January, we're looking at. You had a question on T-26, north end of the county. That is in the program 2024, whether we have the money.
The name?
Which
one is that? Which one did you say, that's T-26?
T-26.
T-26.
From, basically from Rudd north,
Yeah.
and Rudd, and then Rudd
I
south.
had a call. Yeah.
Did you talk to her?
Talked to him.
Or him?
Yeah, it's a him. And I just let him know that that was yesterday morning.
Okay.
That he had called the boardroom on him.
Okay.
And that's on the schedule for when, did you say?
Well, at this point, it's in the program, the 5-year program, as I said, it's listed for 2024. That's a little ways out yet.
All right.
You guys have to remember when I'm
I
gonna
was
start
gonna
doing
drive up
budget,
there and take a look at that.
that north end was always bad.
Yeah.
that last first half mile, I don't know what the heck happened to their asphalt when they did that. We went up the very end of the year last year and used a dirt patch and tried to Band-Aid because it's just the whole thing's
Yeah.
going to crap.
They're a
Right.
extra mile up.
Yeah, so always been unknown, but we tried letting the asphalt project, we see what happened, we get a bid, so. My thinking is that that stretch, just like the one we did by the Fossil Prairie Park, like we talked north of Niles Corner, like we talked in Rudd, north of Rudd, south of Rudd, will be part of this budget and when I go and see where my money's at and if I can do $700,000, or maybe just do a mile of that stretch.
Well, that's what I wondered, whether it could just be a certain, because
Do
that's what we
this,
thought.
this,
like
and then
a mile.
include, it's gonna be a local thing, because I don't have farm market dollars to save me at all, so
Right.
it's gonna be, let's just maybe pull this together, and then see what numbers our estimate comes in at, and then just make sure I get the money when I budget.
Right, okay.
And as long as you guys are gonna approve that, then you'll know, hey, yeah, we put money towards this, it's local, it's farm to market, I don't have enough money. So that's why we have to push past T38, so. But, we'll have to put it up there.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Drainage District 1,
Yeah.
Drainage District, so, I just want to be aware, did you approve
The
the
reclassification.
annual
Whole
report?
The study, and then to hold off on any repairs in this.
Okay, because I think Kelvin had a call again from one of the landowners to go up there and try to fix some tile, or look at tile and try to snake through and open up, and Kelvin's like, it's all full of trees, where do you start? So I told him no, just so you guys are aware of it. If someone wants to clean trees, which I think that was offered,
Which that was offered.
if he wants to do that, that's fine, but I'm not gonna send Kelvin on the wild goose chase up there to try to find which tile's bad. Get all the trees cleaned off, and then it becomes a bigger issue that you replace all of them tile or whatever.
I've already emailed Kimberly that,
Okay.
All day.
So right now, we're on hold on the report, but yeah, let's redo the classification work, which is fine, but like I said,
Yeah.
we don't wanna sit up there and go try to fix one spot here and one spot here and one spot here when it's a half mile long. That means my guys are busy enough doing other stuff. I just want you guys aware of it because he said, you gotta jump again. I said, no, you just tell him that it's up here and it's,
hopefully Ken will have a study done in March, April, like you talked about, and maybe some spring work can be done for planning.
yeah. Okay, well, I just thought, wanted to make sure on the same page.
Maybe, which would be ideal, but planning won't start till late May anyway, so you forgot to.
Mowing's finishing up. I think mowers, the last two mowers basically for gravels are up in the northeast part of the county. So finishing that up.
The deer are out.
Yeah.
So, that Cook's Bridge,
Cookons?
yeah,
Yep.
that's not scheduled for. He
Sure
sent me
brought
the
the program.
impression that it's gonna start work on it next year, and I
Yeah.
said, I have not heard that. So,
But it is on the schedule.
it's on the schedule, and I know it
Program's
is,
on my
but
desk.
not
I just looked,
that.
I was gonna bring the program down, I'm like, no,
I
I don't
know,
need it.
then we'll never ask, right? But,
So
just,
I
just
know-
a comment, and I tried to, correct
Yeah,
him
no,
on
all
that.
the preliminary work is being done on it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a major bridge too, just like the one that's downstream.
Right.
Right now, like I said, I know that bridge northwest part of county is next summer. Summer after that is either 180th or Cookons. I can't remember which one we did that. Or I might put Cookons at 22. It's 20, 21, 22, I think.
When you say the northwest, is that the one over the Cedar?
No,
No.
this
Well, that
one
one's-
is just
yeah.
a bridge that we discovered that was
Orchard.
right?
Okay, yeah.
I think I added the Orchard one to 2024.
I thought you
Well,
had it
that's
down
gonna
there
have to
someplace,
be-
but it's down the road a ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's on S7, you go north out of North Springs, and you're about half mile south of the county line. There's a bridge that we found in there that wasn't a bridge, wasn't listed in our inventory, and then we found it, and then found out it's not in good shape, so we added it to.
Okay.
I'd go on record, I'm not in favor of that Cookout one. I think we have other ones that are.
Well, are we
But
doing
I don't
work?
know what the other ones are, and I've said that right off the bat too, I questioned it, but then I know we've had that discussion. Are there others in more need of repair? I guess that's
Well,
what
it
we
depends, which
really
ones?
need to look at.
Yeah, I mean, I get that map every year about the worst bridges, and this one's been on it.
Yeah, I know.
And the
But that's
question
why I
is,
was challenging it, I didn't know.
Bridge over the Cedar up there, that's a rough looking.
It's not bad as far as weight limits right now, but you're right, it is rough looking, it just looks old school, like you're
Seems
70s
narrow.
roller skating across it or something like that, you know, I mean, it's one of those old looking structures. With four-wheel skating, not
Okay.
inline skating.
Got it.
Coming back to Kukon's Bridge though, are we doing any engineering or where are we at as far as, are we spending
Survey
some
work
money?
said that, yeah, we've been.
Survey?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what, I want to make sure
I mean,
we all are aware
survey
of that.
kind of
2 years ago, we were at a point where we were gonna lose money if we don't build bridges. And I
Right.
know, remember you brought the question up,
No.
hey, do we spend this money on grading the road or something like that? No, this
Right.
is swap money, it's 100% reimbursed by our meter money that's set aside. Like, just at the exec board meeting last week at ISAC, Ringgold County has been doing some weird politics down there, and they're gonna give the money back because they didn't get their projects let in time. And it's just like, you don't wanna do that, just spend it. That's in a program, which is good, so we'll be
Yeah.
okay. I mean, we're spending money, we just don't wanna
Yeah.
not spend the money.
I just wanna make sure
Because it's not
that-
local anymore, it's all swap, it's 100% reimbursed, even on the local roads.
Yeah.
Where before it used to be 2080. The 170th bridge that we just finished, that one was 2080, so we had to cough up 20% of that, where now it's
Mhm.
100% gonna be. But I know what you're saying, there are some other ones out there, but,
Yeah.
you know, at some point, should be more local ones like this one we're doing right now, 195th Avenue, done, and we're spending our 10-cent gas tax. Good. I hope I answered the questions good in the hearing, you know,
Thank you.
the culverts,
Yeah, thanks for
the culverts, we put size it for whatever, like I said, if we go in and size things to say, we know this was, but then every bridge would be 600 feet long, and that's not, you can't do that, it's not
Right.
cost effective, and we're not gonna treat this site any different than if
Right.
it was, you build a
Correct.
house on this road or that road, you have to be consistent.
I agree.
And this spring was a bad spring, we all know that.
We do, but, I mean, their comments were, is that it wasn't just,
I think, like you said, it was all agriculture, too, people hauling corn in and hauling
yeah, it's not,
feed and
I
corn
know
in.
the hog sites, do affect, there's a lot more equipment, trucks, you know, running
I
on
like-
these roads, but I don't wanna lose sight of, I mean, we still have larger equipment that we're running with, we got a lot more grain trucks going now because of the
Grain, yeah.
ethanol plants that are close by, Mesa City.
And when they're building them
yeah.
on these area served local roads, that's the hard part, like you said.
Right.
See, why not build, well, like I said, I know there's a lot of politics involved with all that. You'd like to have them on a hard service road just so that they don't have to worry, we don't have to worry about that extra traffic. But
But the traffic is also becoming more concentrated, not only because of the hot houses, but you look at some of those grain setups out there, all at once, they become a circle and everything goes to those.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous amount
Right.
of traffic away from those once you get it. And once you get it built, so, you know, you're not seeing any 2,500 bushel bin.
No. I can say that, I mean, every time that we run our grains, I mean, we're running steady. You know, when we pick the day that we're selling, man, we're just running, man.
That was my argument with that ADM thing, when that went, somebody said, "This is going on Floyd County's fault." I said, "No, we're gonna get all the tax benefits, but half of that grain's gonna come to Zero Grove. They're doing their roads while they're coming to Floyd County for half of that, but it didn't.
didn't happen anyway.
Oh,
Well, anyway, like I said, if there's any questions, I can help, but I couldn't get a lot of information on the flood stuff. I know you'd asked me that, and I talked to him, and then another thing we found.
well, out there was a lot of, this is in the floodplain, and the DNR guy, and I explained to him, you know, just because there's water here doesn't automatically mean it's a floodplain. And what is a floodplain? You know, floodplains are usually.
Ironically,
Rivers.
at ISAC last week, we had Katie Waters, I think her name is, but from the DNR, and she specifically said, let's clarify what a floodplain is. Every piece of ground in this state is floodplain.
That's exactly what I told him.
Every piece, doesn't matter, because you start here, and guess what, it's still flooding, it's still water runs downhill. I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of the ironic statement. but-
Larry was having such trouble with that concept and they built a floodplain area yeah, the Washington School watershed.
The Washington, yeah.
Every log house is in a floodplain,
Yeah.
no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Right. You put it in town and it's in a floodplain. Or drainage area.
Okay, well, like I said, if you guys have questions or something, that's all I really, see if you got anything for me.
Good. Thanks, Misty. Now we're looking for Bernie.
Yeah, running.
I sent him a message saying we'd be done in 5 minutes, but
They call?
He may be. Oh, yesterday, took lunch or anything. We can do it another day too.
Hey, where you at, buddy?
Where you at?
Okay, well, if you want, they're ready for it, if you want to come down. No, everybody's gone. Yeah, actually, there's a lineup just waiting for you.
Yeah, everybody's gone. Bob's still here. Right?
Who was sitting next to Jim Irvin?
That was his wife.
Cheryl Herb.
Oh, that was Cheryl? I don't think I've ever met her.
Trudy?
Yeah, Trudy's sister.
She was a fox.
Yeah, you know, Sheila Kabuska. from-
Yeah, their
That's
sister
another
too.
sister.
Yeah, I knew that, I knew she was, but I didn't know what.
She was the supervisor, you got a comment on that.
Really?
Cheryl was.
Okay. I told everybody to stay for you, but they decided to leave.
Item 13, discussion with IT
Yeah, yeah.
director
See this?
See ya.
regarding technology activities.
So earlier this month, we installed a cybersecurity appliance, tripwire device is what it is. That's the state in a grant that they had, each county got one. And basically it's the first line of defense, hacking or anything like that. Anybody breaking in, we're kind of stepping all this up for the election stuff and everything. So got that installed, the report's coming back so far. They're supposed to send it to me before the end of the week, but preliminary ones I seen were all in the green, everything they tested on everything, so, which is really good.
I attended at the ISAC conference, IT security session. And they talked about the fact that we prepare ourselves for floods and tornadoes and fires. We need to prepare ourselves for IT hacking because it's a real problem. It's an issue.
Well, right, Charles City, Hy-Vee is hacked, so supposedly you're supposed to.
Was our Charles City one? Was our Charles City? It was.
Hy-Vee corporation.
And then with this, starting next month, I have webinars every 2 weeks for DMARC, cybersecurity thing. And we're going to be doing that every month going forward, so it'll be very detailed. So.
And we do training in-house on IT security for our employees.
Well, we've actually talked about that because Solutions had mentioned about the phishing email test and all that stuff. And it does cost you. And they, I think her name is Shanae, she was gonna get me a quote on what that would cost. And past experience with other companies I worked with, I think it's like $1,200 to do it for 1 month.
Isn't there something through the OCIO that they will do it at no charge?
Yeah, I think we got an email on that too.
Yeah.
And basically have a phishing class with all the users.
Well,
tell
I
them
got
the things
a
to
couple
look
of
for.
other emails through this
Yeah.
Floyd County site lately.
Yep, and so we've gotten a couple this last week. Frank got one from,
They got one from Stewart Realty.
yeah,
Stewart site. You get one?
Frank and Leslie both got one, so I was working with Solutions and we blocked that email address.
Good.
And, but basically, in the past when I was with RDI, we would hold a class with all the users, show them the finer points of detecting phishing email, like the link, that type of stuff. And then about a week or two later, we send out some samples and you get a report back who clicked on what, what they did with it, whether they deleted it or clicked a link or whatever. So, but it's definitely something I think we should do.
Right.
I think it's a great idea.
It was a good session and Actually, the second one, CSS did one as well last month on, security, and it's a big thing. It's something we want to stay on top of.
And also October 9th and 10th, related to this, I'll be going to a conference in Des Moines for ITAG. It's the IT part of it. 90% of it is going to be based on cybersecurity, which I'm going for, so stepping it up early. All the fiber relocation is completed as of yesterday. Kept the old fiber up in the office up there, and you see it coiled up over here. So we got about 150 feet here, and if we can, and I talked to some of the St. Louis group people yesterday about it too, in Nebraska. If we have a conduit coming from here to this server room in there, it'll save us quite a bit of money on buying fiber. We own it.
Great.
It runs right up there.
And there's nothing wrong with
Splice
it.
in.
Can you splice it?
I can't, but I know people.
To be honest, I don't think it's that difficult, you just gotta learn how to do it.
Well, the machine to do it is like $3,000. Fusion machine, and I'm getting older, my eyes aren't as big as they were. They're tiny fibers. But yeah, that's the plan. I mean, if we can use it, save us a couple $1,000 on the fiber.
Right.
Also, with that, I reached out to EPN and WINS to get quotes for possible temporary move if we're going to need it or not. That way we've got an idea of the cost if we have to have fiber over there. And they should be getting back to me next week, it sounds like. Configuration of my sandbox server is almost complete. We'll do some testing stuff on there. We can use that as like a test fishing server too. We can do all kinds of stuff with it. Attempted to reconvene the IT committee to clarify expectations from departments and for budgetary planning. We had to reschedule that because of the fiber relocated last week. They popped up the same day we were gonna do it,
So it's gonna be the same group.
Yep, but when I sent the original email, I only got a response from a couple of people, so I'm gonna go around to the department heads that are in that list and talk to them firsthand too, so that they know, hey, I'm sending this out, we wanna get together and look for it.
And maybe they could send someone in their absence.
Yep. Currently still meeting with the copier companies. For example, I got Koch Brothers this afternoon, I had Console like 2 weeks ago, and Brent
died.
was here.
I don't think that's who it
Disposing of old PCs and destruction of hard drives is continuing. All scheduled upgrades have been completed.
I mean, you're gonna have to get a room of its own just for all of those that you've been confiscating.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got rid of
It's
a
quite
lot
a
of it, but I
stack.
still have a lot left, so I plan on.
What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, he's left a mess in our office and has moved downstairs.
Yeah, now he's still
And he
in
just
the
left
first
it?
floor.
But, go with the
Air quality.
Where are you moving to next?
The PCs, we've got a couple of local recyclers for the cases, the metal, so I've been dropping them off to those guys, spreading it out, making everybody happy. The hard drives, we're drilling through them, destroying the platters, taking a hammer to them and throwing them away. Well, John disposes of them after that, I think he's taking them to the landfill.
Okay.
Did you ever follow up on that, the North Springs city clerk administrator contacted me?
We talked about that Monday.
I have a cemetery association that needs a new computer, and
Needs a
I
computer.
talked with Bernie to see if he could, not any cost to us, but one of these destroyed these cabinets, that instead of destroying it, that maybe they could just buy a hard drive. Potentially maybe Bernie could set it up.
We definitely have enough. I mean, I got like 5 PCs left, and I only want to have 2 spares. And I got some monitors left as well, keyboards and mice, so we definitely could be able to do that for them now. Get it up to, I can call them up and get it set up, and get that built up for them. I set it up for them, transfer their data, that type of stuff. If that's
I
okay.
think that's a good idea.
I will put that on my list. And Currently, I'm updating the emergency management laptops and virus software replacement. And later today, I'll be updating the election laptops.
What are you updating on them?
Windows updates, antivirus updates, that type of stuff. Keep them fresh.
Yeah.
And most of those sit in the closet until they're needed. So
Amanda usually does it like on a quarterly basis, but.
So we're gonna update the election ones now, in a week. I think the last week of October, we're gonna bring them out and update them again before the election starts.
I was just gonna say, when do they have to be up and running for the elections, Gloria?
It's not November 5th yet, let's hurry.
Well, our date is October 28th, is when we're going to run the final updates before the election stuff, to make sure everything's up to par. So, and then a thing that will be ongoing for a while, because it's massive, the Active Directory user and machine audit on our servers. In the past, when the computer was replaced, that computer was not dropped out of the Active Directory. It just takes up space when you don't know what's what. So I'm going through to audit that, and users that have come and gone, they're still in there as well. And so going through that, it's a tedious thing, because you gotta go through every server.
Are you still finding some surprises?
You know, not as much lately. Kind of getting through it. I mean, configure it, I mean, well, not a lot. I mean, just little network stuff here and there with the, you know, we got the switches in our room up there, but some of the office areas I'll find under a desk, like an office switch or something that probably makes that office slow, and we can think better than what they got there.
Doug thinks we work faster down here with our computers than out there.
Well, you're sitting right below a wireless access point here.
But they're right below one up there.
I know, and the other one up there is to the right of you, up in the corner, so.
One's this way, this one.
He just commented that when we were
That's
powered
the
up.
thought this morning, it's
Yeah.
Could that be a difference, that one's this way and the other one, this one's right up here?
No, I think it's probably more with like collisions on the wireless part of it, because, you know, wireless phones, the frequencies they use and everything you got around, everything else is wireless.
I just
I
comment.
probably got some collisions, I can look at the reports and see what I can find.
Wireless phones from, your cell phone.
Yep.
so-
Do you,
Anybody's cell phones?
do you do speed checks around the courthouse to evaluate those things?
Yep.
Okay. When you-
I think several offices do speed checks themselves.
Good.
And, you know, for you on that, we have a 1 gigabit fiber connection coming in, and anytime I test it, it's right at like 970 meg. And over the wireless, it's always over 500. So, I mean, plenty for a basic user for anything we need, so. But that is all I had.
One thing I did talk to Bernie about yesterday was, even though we have not approved relocation, I have a huge concern about that if we do make that move over to 500 North Grand, what it's going to take our technology in. So I started yesterday, I mentioned I was going to start working on a project plan just for the relocation part, so we can start working with you and saying, give me your thoughts on all the different steps that we would have to take into consideration, and how much lead time are you going to need for each one of those? Because I'm concerned that is not going to be a small feat. We want to make sure that we've got adequate systems over there that we can run on, and if it was under our control, it'd be one thing, but we're not. It's state control too. So.
And that's why I contacted you to get a wins, because of that conversation. And got an idea in my head of what it would take. And run it by them, and I'm pretty sure it's along those lines. Big question I got is like, you know, there's already UPN fiber there, which would be for the clerk and part of the, and whether or not the state would allow us to piggyback out there for internet access, I don't know. So I've got a question into the state as well, around Norman and that. Probably not, I guess. But we're still gonna need connection back to here for our servers. So at the very least, we'll probably have to get another watch guard for over there to get a VPN tunnel to the building. And they're not too cheap, the watch guards are, but it would definitely give us a connection back, all the VLANs and everything we need to have access to in the servers. So
Well, again, we just need to know from a feasibility standpoint, what are our issues and how we're gonna make that happen if we do it.
Yeah. So I'll reach out to those guys yet, solutions, and look at the preliminary plan of them as well, and I'll get that for you.
Yes.
Actually, a good exercise anyway, just to kind of know if you have a, like, the market town tornado or something like that.
Where we have to relocate anyway.
How do we relocate?
Yeah.
Really, it's identical to if you set up a disaster recovery division.
Well, we
You had an optimal location where you wanted it to be, or if you go in an emergency.
And that's where Leslie needs to be updating that disaster recovery plan for you, because the middle school, before it was vacated, was one of our potential locations, as well as Mitchell County. And Mitchell County, just because they have solutions also. But that's a really outdated plan that needs to be updated.
So did we cover all our items since we bounced around?
We have
I
one
think we
left.
did.
We have one left. Ready? I'll make a
Go
motion
ahead.
to adjourn.
All right, I'll second.
We're adjourned.